Hello and welcome to another edition of The Conversation right here on News Central TV. I am Rita Omodia. On this program, we get to discuss political stories around the African continent. Now, on today's edition of The Conversation, our first story is on the arrival of the former Burkina Faso president, Blaise Compaore, after 8 years in exile. It is the first time the ex-president has set foot on home soil since he was forced into exile in neighboring Ivory Coast in October 2014. Meanwhile, in Nigeria, ahead of the 2023 general elections, the Labour Party has finally unveiled Peter Obi's running mate. We'll have details of that right here on The Conversation. So right now, we kickstart with our first topic in Burkina Faso, where former Burkina Faso's president, Blaise Compaore, returned to Ouagadougou on Thursday after 8 years in exile. Compaore, 71, flew in from Ivory Coast, where he has been living for a summit of ex-presidents with the country's new strongman, Lieutenant Colonel Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba, who was sworn in as president earlier this year following a coup. It is the first time the ex-president has set foot on home soil since he was forced into exile in neighboring Ivory Coast in October 2014 after violent popular riots broke out against his plans to remain in power after serving as president for 27 years. Compaore had seized power in a coup in 1987 on the same day that Burkina Faso's revolutionary leader, Thomas Sankara, his former comrade-in-arms, was gunned down by his squad. Along with the other remaining former president of Burkina Faso, Compaore is due to take part in a meeting to accelerate national reconciliation in the face of the jihadist attacks that have been plaguing Burkina Faso since 2015 and have multiplied in recent months. Now, joining us live for this conversation, we have Dr. Daniel Kere, a lecturer, researcher, law and political science at Thomas Sankara University, Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso. We also have joining us Paul Ejime. He's a global affairs analyst based in London. And finally, we have Musbao Shitu, a freelance translator in Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso. Gentlemen, welcome to the conversation.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Now, I'll start with you, Paul. Now, how have people reacted to Compaore's return home after 8 years in exile? We saw videos of a lot of supporters jubilating, but how have the people reacted to it generally?
So, Rita, the response or reaction, if you like, is mixed. Like you said, there are, some hundreds of people who are jubilating that is back after 8 years in exile. But on the other side is the Sankara family and those who felt that since Compaore has been implicated in the killing of Sankara in 1987 and is carrying a life sentence. He was tried in absentia and sentenced to life, that he should have been arrested and put in custody instead of getting this kind of, executive welcome that he's getting. So that is what is there. And I think that mixed signal will continue to dog his presence. I hear he's going to be there for a while to meet with the other former heads of state on the way forward. But there is, a big question mark in the reason why the Paul-Henri Damiba junta will have to go for somebody who was forced out of office. The people power, Burkina Faso, came out in their millions before Compaore was forced out. So is the junta saying that the reason for which he was forced out can now be swept under the carpet? Even more so with the his jailing. And a convict, as it were, whether, you may say he was jailed in absentia, cannot receive the kind of heroic welcome that they are planning it to. And what is it that he will give to them, to this reconciliation they're talking about? He can give it from exile if they so desire, but not to come and it's become, they think those who, Sankara family and his lawyers feel that it is insensitive to the memory of somebody who was highly regarded because of the revolutionary changes that he brought in Burkina Faso. He was the one that changed Burkina Faso from upper Volta, the people of integrity, and went ahead to do a lot of things. He's highly regarded, not just in Burkina Faso, but across Africa. So I think the Paul-Henri Junta has a lot to answer. They have a lot of explanation to make. Perhaps they are bowing to pressure from maybe former colonial master, former colonial power. And this kind of is not going to bode well for that administration. That's my thinking, because it's insensitive and disrespectful to the memory of Captain Sankara.
All right, I would like to bring in Daniel in here, because Paul, you've mentioned so many points now. You talked about it being disrespectful to the family and, of course, the memory of Thomas Sankara. Now, Daniel, looking at the fact that Compaore has been given in essential life imprisonment, do you believe that the junta was wrong to have invited him for talks on how to grow the country?
Thank you very much. I think that there are many questions about this initiative of Mr. Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba. But one thing that you have to know is that Mr. Damiba is a former bodyguard of Mr. Compaore. He was under the leadership of General Gilbert Jengere, who is now sentenced to jail in Burkina Faso. So some of our citizens believe that it is Compaore children that make a coup and take the power, and they want to bring back the former leader. This opinion is shared by many Burkinabe peoples. But we can say also that given that the military junta haven't overcome the issue of the terrorism crisis, they are going to try to find solutions with the former presidents. This idea can also be discussed, but I think that this initiative is very dangerous for Mr. Damiba, given that if you see the declaration, the assessments of family of Sankara, the assessment of the unions in public administration and public leaders' opinions, many persons are disappointed of this initiative. And I think that Mr. Damiba is going to probably to fail in his mission if he don't choose another way to jugulate, to overcome the military terrorism situation.
Okay, Daniel, it's more like you're saying that he's doing good, but in the wrong way. Now, we've seen reactions from Thomas Sankara's family, and they've called for the arrest of Blaise Compaore since he has been tried in absentia, given a life imprisonment. And the lawyers for the Sankara family have said that he should be arrested upon arrival. But the military junta, in the person of Damiba, says that legal proceedings will still be followed. Now, do you believe so?
In principle, Mr. Compaore should be arrested, but it is difficult to realize if Mr. Damiba isn't agree with you, because he is with country leaders. He agreed to invite Mr. Compaore, and he fined him for bodyguards and security. You cannot arrest Mr. Compaore without the consentment, without the agreement of Mr. Damiba. In this step, Mr. Compaore could be arrested even if the trial is going on process. But if the country leaders don't want it, you cannot do it. But I think that there are some kind of mobilizations in the country, given that Mr. Compaore is here now. Some of our citizens, youth, and other opinions leaders would like to do mobilization in order to avoid that Mr. Compaore go back to Ivory Coast. We are going to observe this situation in the next following days.
Okay, Paul, looking at this junta leader, Damiba, he came with the power and promising to secure Burkina Faso from jihadist violence. What has been the progress so far?
It is very hard to say that we can find any...
Sorry, Daniel, I would like to just hold on that thought, but I would like to hear from Paul, please.
The situation
okay. Well, he's on the... I think they say he who wears his shoes there feels it. But let me say that the junta are the ones that came out and toppled the government of Mark Christian Compaore. Why? Because they said he was not fighting terrorism or jihadists enough, that he was, weak in trying to defeat the jihadists that are causing problem, killing both soldiers and civilians. It's thousands of Burkinabes have been killed over the past since 2015. So they are now saying they want to resolve the issue. But like he is saying, perhaps that is not their reason for taking over. Perhaps their reason is to come and let Compaore come back to Burkina Faso, which is going to be a disaster for that administration, because millions of people, it is going against the popular wish of Burkina Faso people. I've lived in Burkina Faso and I know how how committed and how determined they can be when they want to pursue an issue. So if Compaore, with all his executive powers, was unable to stop himself, he had to flee. He fled. And now they are bringing him out through the back door. I think it's going to backfire, because I will see the government has not done it. In fact, ECOWAS was just working with them to see. They have come up with how many 24-month-old transition program, and to go about it. But that is not the issue. They must also take cognizance of civil liberty, take care of human rights, and the fact that if a crime has been committed, it has to be punished. There must be consequence for that. If the court of the land that sat under the nose of this junta can go ahead and pronounce that Compaore was complicit in the killing of his friend in 1987, what is the military saying? Are they now giving him a pardon? And it is not going to bode well for the junta, I can tell you that. And the problem is that Burkina Faso risks now going back to the period of unnecessary, and this is unnecessary violence and division and conflict that will further, maybe the military will now say, well, they will need more time to bring back a constitutional order. So I don't think they are not bringing so much glory to what they are doing. They will divide Burkinabe people the more. And I hope they know that ECOWAS is also watching, the world is watching, and the world does not owe Burkina Faso a living. They have to take care of their own destiny in their own hands. And when there is crisis, it's going to be very difficult, worse than what they are already experiencing. There is no, I wouldn't say there has been much progress since they took over at the beginning of this year. And to come now in the middle of this year to come and bring a destruction, something that is not necessary. They can ill afford this type of thing. Let them face the transition, and then what are they going to gain by marching on the sensibility of Burkina people? Because that is the common people were against this man for so many things. He ruled for 27 years and then was becoming a dictator. And then he was chased away. Now, why are you now bringing him back? I think these people, these juntas, they have a lot of wisdom to answer. And they better do so and not create, the region can ill afford this. Already Mali and Guinea and now Burkina Faso, you have seen military coups all over. What are they trying to say? They should, instead of the complicating issues, they should finish with the transition, bring civilians and go back to the barracks.
All right, Paul, finish this transition is what you're saying, that the military should hammer on and not necessarily this meeting that is bringing in Compaore. Thank you so much, but I'd also like to bring in Musbao Shitu, who is a freelance translator in Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso. Thank you so much for joining us on the conversation. Now, we're looking at this meeting headed by Lieutenant Colonel Damiba. Now, aside Compaore, we had Jean-Baptiste Ouagadougou, we have Isaac Zida, Michel Kafando, and even recently overthrown President Compaore will be attending this meeting. Now, from our earlier panelists, they're saying that probably that this meeting is not necessarily only for security reasons. Now, what's your evaluation of this meeting held by ex-presidents?
Thank you so much. And thanks for inviting me for this great conversation. So, as far as this meeting is concerned, I would say it's really risky coming from, a government who just did a coup d'etat. It's really risky, and they said it's for national unity, for reconciliations in Burkina, bringing everybody on board. Well, it's good, but is it the moment? I think the moment is not has not been chosen, and for me, a lot of things need to be done before that. We need, some of them to respond to the call of the justice. We really need them to respond as far as Compaore is concerned. He has committed a lot of atrocities here in Burkina before leaving to Ivory Coast. And now you're back. On which ground are we dealing with this national unity? And we really need a lot of things to be done before talking even about the national unity.
What exactly are some of the things that need to be done?
We are not saying it's not good to have everybody on board, but at least it has to respond to the call of the justice. Because can we have peace without justice? This is the question we have been asking ourselves. And if we continue in this, we will have a lot of frustrating people. And some here in Burkina have been saying, we need peace, and we have to do all what we need. All what is come on our way, we really need to take. Compaore is a Burkinabe, right? So for an upright man, for me, he has to respond first to the justice. Even later, he can receive an amnesty from the president, no problem. But anyway, we have to solve the problem that we are encountering first. We need justice for Thomas Sankara, justice for Bukari Dawo, justice for Nobezongo. So a lot of things need to be done before we really even talk about national, unity.
Now, aside justice for the late Thomas Sankara, what's the level of humanitarian crisis in Burkina Faso? Because we know that since 2018, there have been violent clashes in Burkina Faso. Musbao, can you hear me? All right, while we still try to get Musbao online with us, I'd like to bring in Daniel now. And aside from this meeting that is going on, a lot of people have perceived that the meeting of past presidents is a move by the junta to increase its legitimacy. What are your thoughts on this, Daniel?
I think that Mr. Damiba can try by this way to get more legitimacy, but it is the wrong way. It's absolutely the wrong way, given that in the administration, public administration of Burkina Faso, and in the army, Blaise Compaore have a lot of enemies due to his a lot of crimes. You see, his blood crimes and financial crimes, he has a lot of enemies. Even in the region of West Africa, if you take Sierra Leone, if you take Liberia, I think that he has a lot of enemies there. So bringing back Mr. Compaore in Burkina Faso and presenting this way as a reconciliation way, I think that it is very dangerous for Mr. Damiba, and this way cannot increase his legitimacy. The only way for his legitimacy is to overcome the terrorism crisis. This is the absolute one way, because they have present the crisis of terrorism as a result of the coup. If they don't overcome this problem, what is the reason for them to keep the power? And so I think that probably in the next days or the next month, Mr. Damiba will face a lot of contestation, and maybe probably he could let the power. It is not my wish, but I am analyzing the situation and evolution. But one way that he can explore is to do a large coalitions, a big coalitions that includes all the parties, political parties, former opposition, the former ruling parties, and this can be the way for him to get a little bit legitimacy. But I think that he has already done the wrong choice by bringing back Mr. Compaore.
Now, Daniel, last week the junta agreed to a 24-month transition period. 2 elections started from July, reducing its original timeline of 3 years. Now, you're in Burkina Faso. How prepared is the country for elections in the next 24 months?
Globally, many persons have accepted this period, but let me say something. This period could be long or more than this. If the military, the junta, overcome the terrorism crisis, the Burkinabe citizens can agree that they do more than 2 years in power. But if the terrorism crisis increase, I think that they can let power before these 24 months. So the periods, I think that many persons don't discuss about the periods. They discuss about the crisis, economic crisis, security crisis. This is this will be the key of the time that the junta will spend in power. If they overcome, if they find solutions, they can spend more than this time, maybe probably 3 years, 4 years or more than this. But if they don't find solutions, probably in next month they could let the power.
Okay, Paul, you've heard from Daniel now. He talked about security being the key to having elections and how prepared Burkina Faso is. From your own analysis and situations in Burkina Faso, do you think that the country will be ready for elections in the next 24 months? And will the junta actually keep to their words?
The central authorities that don't...
Sorry, Daniel. Please, let's hear from Paul, please. Sorry, Daniel.
So the point is, like Daniel said, the reason they gave for overthrowing Compaore was that he was not able to address the security issues. And now, instead of concentrating on that, they are trying to work as if they have all the time in the world. They don't.
But that's what the meeting is for, Paul. I believe that's what the meeting is for security reasons.
Sorry?
But that's what the junta says the meeting is for security reasons.
I cannot see how, what do these people have to offer? Compaore was there, he didn't solve it, and they removed him. Compaore was there, he didn't solve it, he was removed. So who is there now to give them the kind of quality strategy that they are going to? It means that perhaps they were not prepared for this kind of thing. Maybe they just came in to remove Compaore for a different reason, maybe to bring back Compaore, and it's going to backfire. Like Daniel has said, they had better, if they don't have any solution, let them give power, let them just hold the election and get out. But if they think that they can solve, they came in promising that they can solve it, and if they fail, it means that they are going to, they will determine their own future.
But Paul, can elections hold? But can elections hold when there's still insecurity going on in Burkina Faso?
Well, this is the government. Nobody should, before they took power, they should have considered that. They have now, they are soldiers. They have the weapons. Let them go and fight the jihadists and the terrorists. Who is going to fight the terrorists for them? Is it Compaore that they removed, or is it Compaore that is in Côte d'Ivoire? So there is so much shrouded in mystery in what is happening, and I can see foreign hands playing in what is going on, which is not going to be good for the junta and the leadership. And like he said, it is either they solve the problem that they cited as the reason for coming, or they too could be either they leave freely or they may be removed, because they are now causing more problems. It appears that they are creating more problems than the ones that they came to solve. Instead of even winning the souls and mind of the ordinary Burkinabe people who are waiting for them, they trusted them. They came out on the street to say, yes, we support you. Now, if they are allowed to get disappointed, there will be no election, and then they will not be patient with them because they are not there forever. They have come with 24 months. If they don't deliver, look at what happened in Mali. They came for 18, they talked about 18 months. They are not able, that ECOWAS impose their sanctions. So I think their job is cut out. Do what you have to do within 24 months and push back the terrorists. It does not. It takes more than just people in Burkina Faso, by the way, to solve the security issue. Because some of these jihadists are coming from neighboring countries like Mali and so on, and Niger, and the whole of Sahel region. So it's not in Ouagadougou that they can hold a meeting that is going to solve the security problem, because it has been externalized. It is not the people who are attacking, the jihadis that are attacking Burkina Faso are actually coming from outside, attacking the villages. You know, when they finish, they hit and run. So it will take a collective effort of both the region and the neighboring countries sitting together to do it. And I think there is so much suspicion in what this junta is doing, and it's not going to bode well for them.
All right, thank you, Paul. Mr. Paul, I don't know if you're still with us, but if you are, I would like to know what exactly the people have, what your opinion is with this 24-month transition that the ECOWAS and the junta have agreed on, and what have political parties been reacted to this 2-year transition? What has been their reaction to it?
This is what Daniel has been saying. You know, the 25 months for the people of Burkina currently really is too long, because the job of the militaries when they did the coup d'etat is to solve the problem of insecurity in Burkina, just to solve that problem. This is the job that they're assigned for. When they're taking the power, this is what they, but you can confirm with me that it's getting worse in Burkina. The insecurity is just getting worse day and day. So if people are saying that they are being killed while, protecting the country, they will take the power and try to solve things. And now they are there, they're just messing up. They're creating more problems. So it's for me, if they don't have the concrete solution for the country, and as far as the youth and the population is concerned, if they don't have a concrete solution, they just have to leave.
Are the political parties ready for an election? If you're saying the military should leave, are they ready for elections?
Get themselves prepared. But we are still looking forward to have peace, to have security before going to elections. But if things are getting complicated, we just have to go to election and allow those who have great, ideas, great vision and solution for our country to come on board.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much, Musbah Shuti, for joining us on the conversation. Also, Dr. Daniel Curry and Paul Ejime. Thank you so much, a global affairs analyst based in London. Thank you so much for joining us on this conversation.
Thank you for having us.
And right now, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we go to West Africa, where the Nigerian political party of the Labour Party candidate, Peter Obi, has finally picked a running mate. We'll have details after the break. Join us again.